Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brian Dean from QuickSprout, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create blog posts that users and search engines love. So whether we're talking about SEO or blogging, it all begins with your title. Okay, so from a search engine standpoint, the title tag is the most important part, and from a blogging perspective, your title is what gets people to click through and actually read your blog post. So let's say for this video that we were targeting the keyword cake baking tips. Now from an SEO standpoint, you obviously want this keyword to appear in the title and somewhere early on in the title. And from a blogging perspective, you need to make sure that the words surrounding your keyword are enticing enough for people to click through. So I've found that numbers tend to work really well for blog posts. So instead of just saying cake baking tips, you'd want to put something like 25 incredible cake baking tips. Okay, so that's something that'll entice people to click through because they're curious about the specific number of 25, and the word incredible also makes them a little more curious. Next, we'll talk about the URL. So you definitely want your keyword to appear in the URL. That's important for SEO. But also from an SEO and from a user experience standpoint, you want to have a very short URL. So I recommend putting just your target keyword in the URL. So to do that in WordPress, just click on Edit and then include your keyword, which in our case is cake baking tips, just like that. So that's important for SEO because Google wants to see that your keyword appears in the URL. But it's also important for user experience because when people share this URL on social media, if it's too long, they won't be able to share it on Twitter because it'll go over the character count. So let's say they want to send out a tweet about your content. This is a nice brief URL, but if it was the entire title, especially if you use longer titles, sometimes they won't get to write anything like cool post, and they might not even share it because of that. So it's important to make sure your URLs are as brief as possible. So once you have your title and your URL set up, your next step is to make your actual blog post, which starts off with the most important part, the first sentence. So when people have clicked through, they've seen your URL, their next step is to read the first sentence. And if your first sentence isn't enticing, they're not going to read the rest of your blog post. So you need to make sure that this first sentence really engages people and grabs their attention and tells them that they're going to basically get what your headline promised. But also from a search engine optimization standpoint, you want your keyword to appear high up in the content, preferably in the first or second or third sentence of your post. So in this case, I wrote this little first sentence here, which is kind of enticing, where it says, I know that there's one thing in the world you can't get enough of, which makes them curious, like, oh, what is it? And then I put the keyword here, cake baking tips. So you want to incorporate the keyword into your first sentence, but you don't just want to drop it in there, you want to put it in there in an enticing way. So once you have your first sentence and maybe your second sentence or first paragraph, your next step is to set up your subheaders, okay? And subheaders are really important for user experience because it makes your post much easier to read. And it's also important from a search engine standpoint because that helps tell Google what your article is thematically about. So I put 3 example subheaders here, but obviously in paragraph format, they're not really subheaders, both from search engine standpoint and from user experience standpoint. So to make them subheaders, you want to make each one an H2 or an H3 tag. Okay, so to do that, just highlight the text that you want to be as a subheader, click here, and choose either H2 or H3. Okay, H2 is slightly better from an SEO standpoint, but if it looks better to have an H3 tag on your site, then go with an H3. And just repeat that for all the subheaders in your article. Okay, so once you have your subheaders in place, obviously it's time to start filling it in with actual content, okay? And from a search engine standpoint, from a user experience standpoint, you just want to write great stuff, and you don't really want to worry about including your keyword too many times, okay? So as long as your keyword is in the title, the URL, in the beginning, and a few times in your content, you're good. You don't need to go overboard. So once you have some of your content populated, your next step is to start adding internal and external links, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. So let's say that you had another article on your site about cake decorating techniques. Well, this would be a perfect opportunity to add an internal link to that article, which increases user experience because people are, they see another resource on your site, and it's also good from an SEO standpoint because it helps rank this particular page that you're linking to. So just highlight the text that you want to use as anchor text, click on the little link button, and then put in the URL of the content that you want to share, okay? Now for external links, you obviously need to do a little research, okay? So let's say that you wanted to add information about dry measuring cup, but you didn't have anything on your site about that, or there was another resource on the web that was just so good that you want to link to it and share it with your users. Well, all I like to do is search for that particular keyword and see what comes up. And in this case, Wikipedia has a nice little article about measuring cups, which includes information about dry measuring cups. So you just go to your article, highlight dry measuring cup, click on the link button, and add the URL, okay, and put add link. So now you have an internal and external link to boost user experience and SEO. So your next step is to add multimedia to your post. So multimedia is really important for user experience standpoint because when people go to your post, they don't just want to see text, they want to see images and videos, and that helps for SEO as well because it makes for more engaging content and more media-rich content, which Google prefers. So one of the best ways to find images for blog posts for free is to use Flickr, okay? So just head over to flickr.com and you want to look for Creative Commons images. So once you're on the home page here, put in a keyword that's related to your niche, so in this case cakes, click the little magnifying glass button, and that'll show you all the images in their database related to cakes. But you can't just use these because these are sometimes copyrighted. So to make sure you're only seeing images that you can actually use that have a Creative Commons license, click on the advanced search button here, scroll down, and click on only search with Creative Commons licensed content. And if you have a commercial blog that's monetized in any way, click on find content to use commercially and then click search. So that'll limit the results to images that are, under the Creative Commons license. Now you can just search, it automatically sorts them based on relevancy, but I've found that if you go to sort and you click on interesting, that tends to bring up really, really cool images to use for blog posts. So that's something you might want to try, and as you can see, the images are quite a bit different than the ones that came up just from relevancy. So when you see one that looks good, click on it, and then you can see it a little closer to make sure it's something that you'd want to use in the blog post. Then right click on it, and then choose a size that works best for your blog post. I prefer medium 500 because that tends to actually be quite large, so click on that. So once you see it and you're ready to download it, click on the download the whatever size you chose of this photo, and then it'll obviously automatically have this really ugly file that you don't want to choose for yours. So under save file, click OK, and that'll give you an option to change the file name, so you put something like pink cake, okay, and click save. So once that's saved, you want to go back to your blog post and insert it as media, and to do that, click on add media, upload files, select files, and then find the file that you just downloaded and click on open. And then you want to put under the title, which will automatically populate with the file name, under the alt text, put pink cake, okay, or whatever it is. And then click insert into post. And you will have a nice image in your post to accompany the text. And you can resize it and do whatever to make it look good. From a search engine standpoint, it doesn't really matter where the image is, so this is where you really want to focus on user experience. So your next step is to head over to YouTube. So if you want to embed videos into your post, YouTube, they automatically can be embedded without having to worry about Creative Commons. Okay, so you just put in cakes, and it'll show you all cake results. And if you see a video that looks good, you can embed it into your post. And when you've done that, you've gone from this, which is just your keyword, okay, to an SEO-friendly and user experience-friendly blog post with multimedia, subheaders, internal links, external links, the works. So that's all there is to creating a user experience-friendly and SEO-friendly blog post. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.